Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I have a beautiful boss one-shotting build, and realistically, this actually kind of just one-shots everything in the game. So whether it be the new Helltide boss, whether it be going through the pit and just ripping everything together and let your golem just one-shot everything, all of it works really fluidly, and you don't really have to worry too much as you kind of step back and let your golem just do all the work for you. Let's go into the gear real quick first. Oh, and before I get into this, if you haven't grabbed the Mobalytics app, I would highly recommend you do. The in-game timers help me to not miss any of the actual, events like the Legion or the boss, the world boss kill. And also, if I pull up the in-game overlay, I can actually just go through and do the tree while actually having the stuff on my game screen. So I don't need to actually worry about kind of looking back and forth on the screen, alt-tabbing, pulling up on my phone, what have you. This just makes life so much easier. So if you don't have it, I would highly recommend it. It just really is a good convenience factor. Anyways, into the build. So we're going to do a Cult Dominion on our helmet. This is going to give our maximum number of skeletal warriors and mages increased by 2. More minions equals more damage output for you and your minions. Try to get int, max life, skeletal warrior mastery, and then temper on whatever you need. I like crowd control and total armor because I needed to hit the armor percentage, and it just helped because you need to hit 9,232 to get the 85% armor. So once you hit that breakpoint, you don't really need to worry about armor anymore. And yeah, whenever you masterwork, these are going to go up as well. So you're going to be able to pull armor out of like Paragon nodes and be able to place them in other locations. So you'll be able to more optimize the build further and further as you temper and increase your armor that way, as well as increasing your maximum resistance on your jewelry. On our breastplate, now this is the most important piece of your entire set of gear because you want to get the greater affix to Golem Mastery on your breastplate. And whenever you're doing your Masterworks, you're going to want to get your Masterworks to go into Golem Mastery. Now, as you can see, mine went into Total Armor. That's why Total Armor is in blue. So I need to actually re-roll this, but that costs 5 million gold, and I am a broke boy right now because I've been trying to get Hellbent Commander on my amulet. Try to get Golem Mastery, try to get Intellect and Maximum Life, just so you have a little bit more tankiness, and the Intellect's just going to boost all of your overall damage anyways. On your gloves, we're going to go for Int, Critical Strike Chance, and Critical Strike Damage. I unfortunately haven't gotten the Critical Strike Damage on my gloves yet, so that's why you see the Maximum Life, but I am re-rolling for that. Again, I don't have any money. I've spent it all trying to get Hellbent Commander on my amulet, and I've been failing on that. But on here, we're going to want to go for Tempering of Golem Damage, and either Corpse Tendril size or Decrepify size. Choice is up to you, whatever you want. The aspect we're going for is Reanimation, so that increases your minions' damage after they've been alive for 10 seconds. That literally is basically nothing. Your minions hardly ever die, so they're going to constantly have a 40% damage increase, just for free. On our pants, we're going to go for Hardened Bones to just give you a little bit more damage reduction for you and your minions. We've already hit our armor and resistances cap, so any kind of damage reduction is just free tanky survivability. Try to get Int, Max Life, and whatever else you want that's going to give you some kind of tankiness. I have maximum resistances. If I actually remove this resist to all, I will actually be right below the resistance cap. So that's why I have it in here. But I will be able to change these pants out for a better pair of pants later on whenever I masterwork up my jewelry and have a higher resistance to all elements. On the boots, we're going to go for Blood Getters. So this is going to make it so that your Skeletal Priests empower you, giving you a damage buff, and at the same time that damage buff transfers back over to your minions because they're pulling 100% of your stats. So as we go up in damage, our minions go up in damage. So this is probably one of the best boosts to damage because it's just a free 70% damage buff from using the Skeletal Priests, and as we can see here, Skeletal Priest empowers our minions, increasing their damage by 30% for 8 seconds. So we're getting 70% of that 30% damage increase. That's a fair chunk of extra damage just for free. Again, we're going to want movement speed on our boots, either Decrepify or Corpse Tendril size, whatever you choose. On our weapon, so you're going to want to have Int damage, either crit damage or crit chance. I'd like crit damage and actually happen to get greater affix on it. Then you're going to want minion attack speed and golem damage. Golem damage is what we're going to try to have on every piece that has the ability to have golem damage on it. And then on here, we're going to throw on Unyielding Commanders. It's going to increase our minions' damage by 100% when we pop Army of the Dead. Huge damage increase if you pop Army of the Dead and you have the bar going across that the cooldown is actually active. while you hit your Golem's on-use ability, it will one-shot everything within radius of that Golem. It's insane amounts of damage. On our focus, we actually went with max life, raw damage, and again, minion attack speed and Golem damage. And on here, I actually went with Intercom. I used to use Blighted, which was stacking Shadow Blight procs, or yeah, basically giving a damage boost after so many Shadow Blight procs happened. But I'm not actually having to cast Blight that often, so I switched it over to using Kalen's Edict and Intercom, because whenever you're killing bosses, or even most packs, you're standing still for at least a second or two. So you're going to be doing a whole bunch of extra damage. So if you stand still for just a couple seconds, your attack power is going to spike. And then it's 30% damage increase after 3 seconds. So your attack power is just going to spike, and you're going to just do so much more damage because it's all transferring back over to your Golem, who's doing the vast majority of your damage anyways. On a ring, we went with Frenzied Dead, and this is going to make it so that your minions are going to do increased attack speed all the way up to 45%. So they're going to be literally swinging their arms faster than you can even see at some points. It's pretty cool to watch. They do so much damage. If you go to the target dummies, put it on like boss and put it on multiple, the speed at which your minions are attacking, I actually had to record it and slow it down to 0.25% just to read the numbers because they were so fast. And I was seeing my Golem hitting between 6 million and 100 million damage. So 6 million was his white basic hits, and 100 million was whenever I had Army of the Dead up. I had cursed the mobs. Blight was under them for the 20% damage buff. I corpse tendrilled them, and then I hit the on-use ability, and the entire screen exploded with numbers, and I had to pause the video just to read. It was pretty cool to watch. Minions are so fun right now. So what you're going to want to temper on here is going to be Golem active cooldown reduction, so that you get your Golem on-use ability back faster, and you're going to want to have Golem damage again. We're going to try and spike up as much Golem damage. I'm going to show you in a second how much Golem damage I have, and it's a lot. Ring of Sacrilegious Soul, it's a minion build. This is just one of the best rings to have for a minion build. I know a lot of people like Ring of Mendelin. It is good, don't get me wrong. I just like this because it basically allows the game to autopilot a lot of stuff for me. I still use all the abilities as well myself. This helps to keep the priest buff up on my skeletons and just keep them buffed as well. And auto corpse tendril every once in a while is just really nice because it's an off cooldown corpse tendril for free. And then on the amulet, I've been trying to get Hellbent Commander. If you can get a greater affix Hellbent Commander on your amulet, your damage is going to be way higher than mine. It's so much higher. But again, you're going to want to have Golem damage tempered and probably movement speed. Movement speed is one of my favorites just so we can zip around a little bit quicker. And we're going to put Grasping Veins on our amulet. And this is going to, as we've all seen before on any Necromancer build, increase critical strike chance and critical strike damage after you corpse tendril. Huge damage chunk. Now, here's the lovely part. We scroll on down here. I'm just shy of 2,600 damage with Golems. That's a lot of damage. Now, Hellbent Commander would actually increase this by a fair amount. And we'll get into the abilities real quick and you'll see why. But let's go into the Book of the Dead. We're going to go Reapers number 2 just to get the free corpse. If you don't really have the need for the free corpse, you can go with number 1 to get your cooldowns back even faster. I like the free corpse. It just feels better for me. We're going to go with the Shadow Mage as number 1. 3% increased damage for each active Shadow Mage. We have 5, so that's 15% increased damage. That's going back to our minions. So it's going to increase our damage and our minions' damage. So it's really cool. And then finally, we're going to go Blood Golem number 2. I know a lot of people like the Iron Golem number 1 because of the huge chunky attack that it has. However, it is in a cone where the Blood Golem is AoE. And this is just a chunky attack of damage where the Blood Golem, as long as he's healthy, which is above 80%, which he's always going to be healthy, he has so much health, so much survivability, and this is going to give him a 50% damage increase as long as he's healthy. I've never seen my Golem actually die. You will always have your Golem at a healthy status for the free 50% increase and 25% damage reduction. I would definitely say Blood Golem number 2 is the route to go on this one. Okay, onto the skills, and this is where the Mobility app really comes in handy because the skills in the Paragon, you can end up missing a point, so if you have the overlay, you can just have it right here, and you can have your skills in your Paragon, and you can just kind of match everything up. It's really handy. But again, that's up to you if you want to download it. So up here, you're going to grab whatever ability you want. I go with Decompose just because when I'm leveling, I like Decompose for Acolyte to Decompose because it makes enemies vulnerable and it's just free. And yeah, but this is not going to be on your bar, so choose wherever 2 points you want just so you can get down here. 1 point into Blight, all the way over to Supernatural Blight so that you're going to make your minions do 20% increased damage to anything that's standing within the Blight puddle. 3 points into Hued Flesh just to get more corpses. And then we're going to move down. We're going to put 1 point into Spiked Armor. This is up to you if you need it. If you don't, then you can take this out and put it somewhere else. 3 points into Scout's Warrior Mastery so that, you get your minions, you might as well buff them up as much as possible. 3 points into Grim Harvest and 3 points into Fueled by Death. We have only one way of generating essence in this build, and that is actually casting Raised Skeleton and spawning the Priest, which is going to buff our minions, heal them, and give us the essence back. So we're going to need as much essence as possible to be casting out blights to put the puddle underneath enemies. And then Fueled by Death is a no-brainer because 9% increased damage after popping a corpse. 3 points in Death's Embrace, so you're going to make it so close enemies deal less damage to you and you deal more damage to them. This also, again, all of your stats transfer over to your minions, so this makes your minions actually do more damage to anything close to them, which the warriors and the golem are going to be at melee range. 3 points into Amplify Damage because we're going to be cursing with Decrepify all the way to Abhorrent Decrepify for the cooldown reduction. 3 points into Skeletal Mage Mastery, and then 3 points into Death's Approach for the movement speed. 1 point into Corpse Tendrils, all the way to Plague Corpse Tendrils for the Vulnerable. This is our source of Vulnerable since we're no longer using Decompose. 1 point into Necrotic Carapace. Again, if you don't need the point into Spiked Armor, you can throw a second point in here. This is just giving you more Fortify, and Fortify makes it so that you have more damage reduction, so it's just going to make you a little more tanky, and this is going to make it so that your Fortify stacks up faster if you have a second point in here. 3 points into Reaper's Pursuit. We don't really care about the shadow damage, so we're just doing this so that whenever we put blight on something, we're going to get a 15% movement speed increase. It just allows us to zoom through levels a little bit faster. 3 points into Golem Mastery. As you can see, I have another 3 points because of my chest, and if you can get the Master working up on it, you can get this even higher to increase. Now, every point in here is 25%. So every point you get is an additional 25% life and damage for your golem. So this is one of the most important things. That's why you want to make sure you have a greater affix for Golem Mastery on your chest. That's the only one I got to drop. It dropped off of a world boss. I damn near shat myself on the spot, and I was super happy. Again, try to get Hellbent Commander on your amulet because Hellbent Commander makes it so your minions do increased damage while you're close to them. So if you can be relatively close to your golem, he's going to do insane amounts of damage. If you can get a greater affix Hellbent Commander on your amulet, this is every point is 15%, so that would be 90% increased damage. It's going to be absolutely huge. So if you can get it, that will massively boost your damage to your golem, as well as all of your other minions, because they actually do a lot of damage, even though we're not focusing on their damage specifically. Grab Inspiring Leader, 3 points into this, 12% increased critical strike chance for you, but more importantly, 18% increased critical strike chance for your minions, as long as you are above 80% health, which you're going to be constantly above 80% health, because you don't really take a lot of damage in this build, because your minions just kill everything really fast, and nothing, most of the time, ever even makes it to you. Full Army of the Dead package, you could remove the Supreme Army of the Dead, but in the event that you do happen to get randomly one-shot by something, because that does still exist in the game, this gets all of your minions back instantly when you pop Army of the Dead. So I just like having it as just a nice little safety thing. I only put 1 point into Bodden in Essence because it is a little bit of extra healing for your minions, which might as well have. There's nowhere else really that I found that would be beneficial to put this point, so that's why I have it here. Also, if you take out of the Spiked Armor, you could technically put the other point in here just to boost the healing up to 40% of their health. Completely up to you. I would actually say Necrotic Carapace would be a better point, but having 1 point in here is nice to have. You do not need Death's Defense because your minions are already armor and resistance cap because they're getting that from you. So this entire node is only useful for leveling. After that, it's completely useless. And then finally, we're going to go Kaelin's Edict because it's going to increase our minion's attack speed by 3% for each minion that we have. I was trying to do Shadow Blight, getting the proc up, getting it so that you had the huge damage spike after you finally got all 10 of them. But in reality, it was more work than it was worth, and just going with the raw minion attack speed actually ended up being far faster clears on everything that I was doing. So Caitlin's Edict actually worked out better. Onto the Paragon board. Now, we have 5 boards, I believe. Yeah. First board, you're going to go up and to the right and around. You're going to throw in Amplify. Amplify is my favorite glyph for the first board because it boosts the blue and yellow nodes on the board. So we're going to boost our damage, 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 and then we're going to boost our armor as well. It's really nice to have. It's probably the best starting board that you can possibly have besides Sacrificial if you're not using minions. If you're not using minions, Sacrificial would probably be the best thing to have in this board. Second board, we're actually going to do Hulking Monstrosity. This is going to boost your Golem's damage even further. And in here, we're actually going to go for the Corporeal Glyph. And this makes it so you and your minions deal increased physical damage, and you gain movement speed for each active minion you have. The biggest thing is your Blood Golem does physical damage. Your Skeletal Warriors are going to be doing physical damage. You and your mages are going to be doing shadow damage, but that's not really that important. The biggest part is going to be your Golem's damage. And here we take more Golem damage. Here we take more damage while Golems are active, which then transfers back over to the Golem. So all of this kind of just really buffs the Golem. Down here, we actually have more Golem damage, more Golem life, more Golem damage, more Golem maximum life. It just, everything is boosting the Golem's damage insanely far. On to the third board, we're actually going to take Cult Leader because our Golem is a summoned minion. Therefore, he's going to get benefit from anything that boosts damage to summoned minions. So we're going to take the summon cluster here, which is summon damage. We're going to take the summon damage cluster up here. And we're going to take some minion damage reduction over here. And for our glyph, we're actually going to take Dead Razor because it buffs the increases to minion damage and damage reduction from both of these nodes. So all of these blue nodes and yellow nodes are going to get buffed because of the Dead Razor glyph. Then we're going to move on up to the Flesh Eater board. So after consuming 5 corpses, which is very, very simple to do, your ring's going to be helping you with this, and you're going to be doing it yourself, casting the Raised Skeleton to get up the Priest anyways. But it's going to give you a 40% damage increase. So you're going to come up to the left so that you can grab all of this critical strike damage and damage to injured enemies. And then we're going to throw in the control glyph, which is going to do increased damage to anything that we corpse tendril in, and crowd control because it's a 3-second stun. So this is going to give you an additional 113% increased damage. Now, mind you, my glyph is only level 15, so once you hit 21, it's going to be even more damage. Extremely good for clearing through and getting to the boss at the end. Does this help with the boss? I'm pretty sure it does, even though they're not crowd controlled. Whenever you do actually hit a stagger bar completion, if you have like a tormented boss, you will be getting a stagger bar. And when they are staggered, they're considered crowd controlled, and then you'll be doing the increased damage with that. Then our fifth and final board will be Scent of Death. So whenever there's 2 corpses nearby, you're going to get damage reduction. And if there's no corpses nearby, which at the beginning of a fight, you'll have the 15% damage increase. You're going to come up to the left and you're going to grab these critical strike nodes and damage to healthy enemies. And then we're going to go up and put the Golem glyph. Now, the Golem glyph works off of willpower, and there's only a couple boards that have a decent amount of willpower within node range, and this is one of them. So we're going to put the Golem glyph here. As you can see, it's 179.6% damage increase. Now, my Golem glyph is only level 17, so it's going to go up even further whenever I get up to level 21. We're going to go over and we're going to grab these nodes on the left, so we're going to get more damage to injured enemies, and we're going to grab every willpower node within range just to increase the damage to this glyph. So that is the entirety of the Paragon points, skill points, gear, everything. It is a super, super fun build to play. I have had a blast doing this. I'm probably going to be playing this for a little bit more. I want to get the Hellbent Commander Amulet online so I can see how the damage is with that. And then once I have everything set up, I'm going to take all of this gear, I'm going to put it in its own special stash tab, and then I'm going to start working on more builds. Actually, really looking forward to making a Blood Surge build with the amulet that makes it so your minions are also going to spawn little blood surges around them as well. It's looking like it's going to be extremely fun. Minions are going to be so much fun for so many builds and so much build diversity this season. Just look out for more videos because I'm going to be making a lot of different minion focused builds. I'll probably make a couple with sacrifices, but realistically, I've been waiting for minions to be good since they were actually good in the first beta test and then got nerfed into the ground after that. So I'm going to be enjoying that. hell out of minions for this entire season because I've been waiting 4 seasons for this, and now I'm finally getting to get it. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss the future builds, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.